Hey, Ayurveda Everyday with Talya. I'm Talya. Welcome back to day 2 of the Detox Your Body with Ayurveda Bootcamp. Woohoo! Day 2. I'm so happy that you're back, and I hope you got a ton out of day 1. There were some really beautiful comments in the group about the lesson yesterday, about you taking in the idea that you matter, your health matters. It really matters that you put yourself first, because if you don't do it, no one's going to do it. And I mean, that's just the way it is. So I'm charging myself up this morning with my little happiness adaptogen from Anima Mundi. I'm totally into this company right now. And I'm taking adaptogens today, which are immune boosting, immune supporting herbs, because today is all about the element of air. And one of the most important things that we do for air element is we ground and nourish our adrenals. So I'm going to get into that. But first, hi! Thanks so much for being here. So, like I said, welcome back. So stoked that you're here for day 2. Couple things about housekeeping. Um, if you are watching this video and you hear me talking about the PDFs or the meditations and you're like, what? Where do I get those? You have to be signed up for this boot camp in order to be part of the boot camp. It's not enough to just be watching these videos in Facebook or on YouTube. So if you check where you are, you will find a link to join the boot camp with your email address. And then every morning we will email you a really beautiful morning email that gives you a little information about what we're going to be talking about that day of the boot camp. And it gives you links to every single thing you could possibly need for the boot camp outside of this video lesson. So if you are not getting your emails, but you signed up, check your spam folder, your promotions folder, your junk folder. You may have typed in your email address incorrectly. That happens actually so much more often than you would think. And that would prevent you from getting the emails. But you can always contact our beautiful community manager, Danielle, and her email address is support@talyaskitchen.com. So better to contact her directly than to ask in the Facebook group, but you can also, of course, ask there. And then just to remind you, see all this awesome stuff that's behind me, a cookbook, a whole bunch of amazing Detox Your Body with Ayurveda products that are in total, they add up to over $200 worth of products. I don't know, I'm like, yesterday I was like, why am I giving this stuff away? This is so crazy. But I want to create a contest for you to spread the love about Ayurveda, and in particular, this boot camp on social media. So the contest is for those of you who are on social media. And if you're not on social media, I totally get it. It's a choice. You don't have to be, but it's for the people who are on social media, because that's where we're going to have the most reach for sharing about the boot camp. So in your daily emails, you've got the how to play the contest so that you can win. And I've also got it posted inside of our Facebook group, Ayurveda Everyday with Talya, in the file section and a couple other places. So definitely play, because we're going to announce the winner on Friday. So there's really only a few days to get in there and share about the boot camp and comment on other boot campers' comments and experiences in our Facebook group. That's also one of the ways that you win, is just by being a beautiful team player who's really showing up and caring about everybody's forward movement and momentum in detoxing the body with Ayurveda. So today's lesson is called Calm Your Inner Wind. And when I thought of that title, I was like, oh, I'm so brilliant. This is so Ayurvedic. It's so great. But I want to explain what that means. So at every day of the boot camp, we're on day 2, we're going to go into a different element of the 5-element theory that Ayurveda is based in. So yesterday was all about ether. Ether is gas or space, and yesterday's lesson was all about creating the space. So first of all, we create the space, just to review, we create the space by saying, I matter. It matters that I have the space for this boot camp, for committing to my health and my wellness. So that's what yesterday was about, creating the space through self-affirmation, saying that you matter, believing that you matter, deciding that you matter, even if you don't believe it yet. And I gave you a meditation and some journaling prompts to help you get into the mindset of creating the space for this boot camp week. So that was yesterday. Today, we're going into the next element. So nothing in nature can exist without space. The next element that flows into space, that fills up the space, is the element of air. And ether is your thumb, right? This is the meridian where ether goes to primarily to your heart and your lungs. Your index finger is the air finger, and it's the finger of intention. We even use the index finger to point to things, be like, "Ooh, I want that. What about that?" Right? It really is a finger that represents intention. So we're going a little bit further today we're still creating space, but we're really looking at how it ties into the specific element of air and what we need to do to nourish the air element so that we're not thrown off balance to such a degree that we can't even detox the body. This is a really big topic. So let me say this too, is today's lesson is really the key for those of you who are here because you have been exhausted or low on energy. You're like, what happened to my radiance? What happened to my vitality? I swear I used to have some. So knowing how to balance the air element is huge for your energy. Because if you think about what is energy? Like, what is it? Where does it come from? It doesn't, right? Like, what is it? Newton's law of theory of energy. I'm so not a scientist, so forgive me if I get some things like that incorrect. But, energy just changes form. It doesn't actually go away. So when you're feeling exhausted or run down or really heavy and no energy, your energy has converted into something else. It's not that it actually left you, it's that you have to figure out how to harness it back into the form that you want it to live as inside of you, right? Which is where you're feeling it and expressing it, and you feel grounded and joyful and capable of all the things that you really want to do. And that really comes down to the air element. So ether and air together comprise the dosha Vata. Vata is the dosha that represents wind. And wind is a force of nature that, we all need wind on a really hot day. It's like this refreshing breeze. But when wind gets really out of control, it's a hurricane or a tornado. It can totally dry you out. It can make you super cold. It can make you really bitter. Well, it can make you bitter, but it can make you really brittle. And it can make you feel like you're just totally scattered and out of control. This is where energy really starts to feel like it leaves you, because this out of control feeling, you start to be running on empty when that wind is just being pushed, pushed, pushed. Now, one thing that I talked about yesterday is that it's really unrealistic how most of us are living today, myself included, which is why Ayurveda is more important than ever, and why yoga is more important than ever, why meditation is more important than it ever has been ever before in the history of time, because the demands on our energy are so out of balance as a society. Michelle said it really well in our Facebook group yesterday, like we are a Vata driven society, and that's not healthy. So let's get real about how we can get our energy back and replenish our vitality, because I want you to have this. And I do have to say that, remedies, I love remedies. If it's one of my all-time favorite words. It's what I use when I consult with my clients one-on-one. It's like, here's your list of remedies. However, remedies are not enough to heal. It's about the practice of applying those remedies. That's how you heal. It's the practice of putting those remedies into action. That's why with this boot camp, I'm giving you a daily action step every day, because just watching this video, it's like, it's great. It's going to expand your consciousness, but it's not going to be enough to actually have you heal. And that's what you're here for. So your sadhana, your sacred practice, is always what you want to be coming back to. So I'm going to give you some sadhana today, and that's what your meditation from yesterday was as well. And by the way, that meditation is so powerful. You could use it every single day of this boot camp, and I hope you do. I definitely hope you listen to it again today, whether it's on a break from work or as you're falling asleep tonight, because it will just keep grounding into you that concept of creating the space, which is what we have to have for every other element to do their good work. Okay, so when you're getting real about your energy, like we talked about yesterday with You Matter, when you declare like, hey, I matter, you are also then in a position to act like it, right? To set up any boundaries that you need to set up, so that that's actually how you're living your life. And I don't always love the word boundaries, because it can feel so harsh. It can feel, actually, if you have a lot of Vata energy in your constitution, you can actually take boundaries too far and be super cold with everybody, and people will just not want to come near you because you just emit like, don't come near me, don't come near me, I have boundaries, I have boundaries. There's a way to have boundaries where there's still warmth and still so much love, but so that goes back to, I believe, really that declaration of, you know what, I matter and my health matters, and it's actually me being a great example for my friends and my family and my children. When I put myself first, it shows them that, number one, it's safe for them to do that around me, but it's also such a good thing to do, because when your cup is empty, that's when you're going to be acting from a place of depletion, anger, irritation, frustration. The veil between you and the world is just so thin that you're just like, ah. So when you need to fill your own cup to be joyful, to be happy. And this is where, I'm taking these adaptogenic herbs. I'm not just talking about them. I'm taking them every day, knowing that it's one piece of the puzzle for strengthening my adrenals from the inside out, that's going to affect who and how I'm being in the world. This is really, really important. This piece, it's right. This is sadhana. This is sacred practice of putting yourself first. Because if you can't do that, the rest of what I'm going to tell you is going to be like, oh, that's nice, but I don't have time, or I didn't make it a priority. So you've got to make yourself a priority this week in this boot camp. That's number one. And then I want to also explain to you that we just crossed over from summer to fall. So we just came from the hottest season of the year, which in Ayurveda is the Pitta season, summer, in the Western Hemisphere. And we just crossed over into the coldest, lightest, driest season of the year. So we just crossed over into the Vata season. So this Detox Your Body Bootcamp is timely, and I planned this on purpose. I planned this on purpose so that we could really look at this Vata Dosha and learn how to soak it. I love that. One of my teachers, T.S. Little, he talks about all these soaking practices. Because when you're dealing with wind, how do you harness wind? You make it warm, you make it wet, you anchor it down, and you ground it. And those are all different ways that we soak the body, we soak the mind. So we soak the mind with meditation. We soak the mind and the body with restorative yoga practices. We soak the body when we eat hot soup or we drink warm fluids, right? These are all remedies that when you put them into practice, as especially as sacred rituals or sacred practices where you know your intention for why you're doing them, they become your sadhana. And in this Vata driven culture, coupled with now we are in the Vata time of year, this is the most important time to find your anchor. So one of our boot campers, Helen, she asked me to speak to blood sugar, and I said that I would do that today. And so I'm going to kind of segue into this right now of there's several different ways that when your wind is too harsh and blowing out of control, there's several different ways that that then manifests in your life, okay? One is that you feel totally depleted, lack of energy, exhaustion, run out of gas, even when you got a decent night of sleep, even when, everything in your life is kind of going okay. You can be like, wow, you could just be burning the candle at both ends for too long without even noticing it, without really totally realizing it, and you will be depleted. Okay, that's true sort of vata, like, depletion. Okay? When the wind is out of control, imagine this. This is a great analogy from my Ayurveda teacher. So imagine that you've got a little bit of inflammation in your body. Let's say, your diet's a little too acidic for you right now, or you're going through a divorce or a breakup and there's lots of anger in your psyche. And then you've got all of this vata excess wind being generated inside of you. That fire, that little spark of inflammation, imagine that that's a lit cigarette on the floor of a forest. And now this huge wind comes through. Well, it's not a little ember of fire anymore. Now it is a full-fledged forest fire. And now you are encompassed with inflammation, by inflammation. So wind pushes fire, causing inflammation. Okay, so inflammation may be the symptom that's really bothering you and that's showing up as like a problem. But if you dial it back to, but what caused this? So many times it's this vata excess, this wind, too much air, floating all over the place and not being harnessed, not being grounded, not being soaked. That's the issue. Okay, so here's where it ties into blood sugar. When your body's under stress, which is another great word for vata excess or vata depletion, excess air, when there's a lot of stress, your body becomes resistant to insulin. And because you're tired, you're craving things like caffeine, which stimulates your adrenals and puts you into more fight or flight. You crave sugar because you're so tired. You're like, I just want some quick energy. What? I just want some sugar. Sugar is also representative of the taste of sweet. And sweet is something that, at least in our minds, we'll think like, that'll ground me. That will help me get in my body. But if it's really straight up sugar with no protein and no fat, and it's especially if it's white sugar, it's just going to give you this quick burst of energy and then put you right back down to where you were before, if not even lower. And that inability of the body to uptake insulin to the cells when you're stressed out or depleted, that's why we can be in a vata imbalance, but be like, why do I have this fat tire around my belly? Why have I gained weight around my midsection when I've never gained weight ever before in my life? Now I'm perimenopausal. I'm craving sugar all the time. I'm not sleeping well, and I'm getting fat. Like, WTF. This can also be traced back to too much air, too much wind, too much depletion at its source. So are you following me? Are you following me? Tell me in the comments if this is making sense, if you're resonating, okay? Because This is really, really important information. This is such good information that we understand. So all of these things are going to cause this vata to go totally out of control. And the last thing we want to really know about vata is that it rules your nervous system. Vata rules your bones, it rules your nervous system, it rules your heart, your lungs, your large intestine. So, like, some of the deepest systems of the body are ruled by this air, ether, wind energy. And it's funny because, like, especially with the nervous system, if you study the nervous system at all, it's designed to be highly stable. So when you're at the place where your nervous system has become so affected that you're like emotionally a mess, you're not sleeping, and all the things that I just described are happening, um, like, wow, that's a lot of imbalance. And it took a lot for you to get there, which means it's going to take something significant for you to heal from that. And I use the word healing. I don't think everybody in here is like, oh, I'm here to heal. But healing for me is a really kind of up there with like, you fucking matter. Like, everything really in life to me is ultimately about healing. And so even if you're here just to get more information and feel even better than you've ever felt before, there's still a healing journey inherent in that. And I don't know, I just kind of went on a tangent there, but I just want to honor that. And I want to honor, you know, how much as a culture, and especially as mostly women in here. I know we've got who's here. I know Dick's in here, and a couple other really awesome men. Ben is in here. Um, but as women, it's like our birthright is to feel good, and men too. That's really is our right, and it's up to us to be real about what's at stake, what we're up against. And so again, it comes back to, I fucking matter, my health matters, this is up to me. And that's why Ayurveda is so very powerful, because it is the kind of lifestyle and life science that's like, yeah, your health is in your hands and you can do something about this. And watch what happens when you do, because the transformation and the healing will blow your mind. so, so that's why I want you to use that meditation again today, because slowing down is a soaking practice. Meditation is a soaking practice. Right now, we want to talk about all the ways that we can bring this air element more into balance. And on a hormone level, when we think about nervous system is going to be directly affected by the adrenal glands secreting adrenaline and cortisol, which they do when you're in fight or flight. Okay, when there's stress, when there's depletion, when you're pushing yourself beyond your actual means of energy. So we want to anchor the adrenals as much as we can. So your action step for today, I know you want to jump into like actually doing things for the body, and we're going to start doing that tomorrow. But Vata is a very heady dosha. It's very much in the mind. All of the emotions associated with Vata, say I'm doing all this with my hands, they're all upward moving. Vata, wind moves upward and outward. So it has a scattered energy to it. It rules anxiety and fear and indecision and guilt. So we want to anchor that down. And one of our mantras for the Vata dosha is let it go. Right? If we think about, okay, the nervous system, what do people say to you when you're like, I'm so stressed, I don't know what I'm gonna do, freak it out. Like, just, can you just let it go? I mean, I know that's not easier said than done, but right, that would, if we could just let it go, we would, right? And this is where yoga can be so helpful, laying in shavasana at the end of this sacred practice of opening up your body, opening up your meridians, connecting with your body and your breath. by the end of a yoga class, usually you're like, wow, I really let go of a lot of stuff. Like, I feel better. Even if it comes back, within the day, you still did a huge service for your adrenals and your nervous system by letting go even for an hour or 90 minutes. Um, and what did I want to say? I don't want to lose my train of thought here. Um, yeah, just the connection between the adrenals and the nervous system. So to keep us from being in fight or flight, we want to be in our minds thinking about, how can I keep creating the space for my intention of caring for my body, caring for my health, detoxing my body? How can I keep aligning myself with that intention? So your action step for today is actually a decluttering exercise. When there's too much going on in your space, too much overwhelm, too much information, too much on your schedule, it's really hard to let go, because you just can't. And the drive to, like, oh, just one more thing, no, I just got to do this one last thing, it just drives you. So the decluttering exercise is to give you a practice of letting go. We let go through the large intestine, which is literally elimination. We let go through the nervous system. We let go when we anchor the adrenals. So I'm going to give you, I have a very special bonus for you that I'm going to talk about on Friday, that has all to do with everything that I'm talking about today for nourishing and grounding the Vata Dosha, in particular the air element. But this decluttering exercise is step one. And in addition to that, it would be so great today if you just drank hot water. Okay, it doesn't have to have anything in it. It could just be hot water or warm water. So, if you're at work today, I'm sure that there's a place where you can get some hot water. Sometimes I just take my travel mug into Starbucks or whatever coffee shop I'm walking past, and I'll just be like, hey, can you fill this with hot water? And they're like, yeah, no problem, it's free. And it will so nourish and ground you and warm you and anchor your adrenals today. It will also help to soften the internal layer of your digestive tract and help you have perhaps a better bowel movement today. There's so much that can be done with something as simple as changing your water from cold or room temperature to warm or hot. So that's not written in your action steps today, but that's just something I want to give you as an anchoring sadhana today, is a glass of hot water or two or three. And then your actual action steps are a decluttering exercise. And this can be so simple. I only want you to take 5 minutes for today's action step, something that's just going to help you feel like, wow, that just really took a load off of my mind. Like, I'll give you an example of what I did to prepare for my morning today. So I have all these running to-do lists, right? Especially when I'm running a boot camp like this. So I had maybe 4 or 5 different pages where I had written in a Sharpie, like, of all the things I needed to do. And a lot of the things had been crossed off, but they were on 5 different pages, and it was kind of confusing. And so I sat down, took me literally less than 5 minutes, a fresh sheet of paper. I went through all of those lists. I pulled out all of the important things that still needed to be done, and I wrote them down in order of what I need to do from first to last. And now I have it. I'm clear for what I need to do for the rest of my week, and I don't have to think about it again. That was huge. That was a decluttering exercise. Another thing that I did a couple days ago is I cleaned out my wallet. Felt amazing. And now when I pull out my wallet, I'm like, oh my God, it feels so good to have like this clean, clear wallet. So keep it simple. Even yesterday I was making my bed and I'm like, I hate this. I have like a dust ruffle around the bottom, but it's like so old and dirty and ripped. And yesterday I was like, why is this here? Like, I pulled it off. I'm like, I don't want this. If I want to get a new one, I can get a new one, but I'm I don't want this here. It's gross and dirty and ripped, and it makes me unhappy when I look at it. So I'm letting go of it. Letting go of it, even though it's something I might, last week have been attached to. Okay, so this is your action step for day 2. I hope you got a ton out of today's lesson. Please write in the comments, like, what's your biggest takeaway from day 2, from what I talked about today, because it's a huge topic. It's something I'm going to go deeper into in the courses that I'm leading in the next couple weeks here. You'll definitely get to hear more about it. But what's your biggest takeaway from lesson 2 of the Detox Your Body with Ayurveda Bootcamp? So thank you so much for being here. And don't forget to play to win for the Detox Your Body with Ayurveda self-care kit. It's just you sharing on social media, Instagram and Facebook, with the hashtag Ayurveda Bootcamp, all like one word. And yeah, I'll see you here tomorrow at 10 a.m. Pacific time. I can't wait. Thanks so much. Bye.